Let us see these three questions. The first question is on conversion of weight units. We need to write a program that converts weight from kilograms to either pounds, grams, or ounces based on user selection. The question says, assumes your what? Conversion rates and use constants. So we need to use constants. These constants should be used. It's better to define them as constants in the beginning of the program. The input will be weight in kilograms and the choice, 1 for pounds, 2 for grams, and 3 for ounces. The output converted weight in the desired unit. Format the output with two decimals. We need to do some kind of format here. Weight must be a positive value. This is validation. And choice must be 1, 2, 3. Any other value is invalid. So now we need to define constants. Our input will be weight in kilograms, and this is going to be float. The choice is going to be an integer. So let's start with this. Before we start, let us see how the program is expected to run. Here you enter the weight, for example, and you choose 1 or 2 or 3. Then the output says 45 kilograms is equal to this much in pounds. You need to tell me what the unit is. If it's grams, tell me grams or ounces. Here there is an invalid input. 7 is fine, but the choice here is not. So let's start the coding. 2.2, 1035.27. So here let us define, for example, pounds is equal to 2.2 whatever. It doesn't matter now. Grams, and it's 1000. Ounces, let's say 35 point something. So here we define the constants. Now weight. It is float, input, enter weight in kgs. So we have the weight and its float. Now the choice is equal to integer first. Let's do input, enter, or let us say 1 for pounds, 2 for grams, and 3 for ounces. Validation next. Now we got all the input from the user. Next step is validation. Do not start processing. Always make validation first. You cannot process something that's invalid. So if weight is less than 0, this is our first choice. Or what? Or choice is less than 1, or choice is greater than 3. If any of these conditions, let's change this to weight. If any of these conditions is invalid, then your input is invalid. So print, I can say invalid input. Otherwise, your input is valid. In this question, there is no loop. So here you come and say what else. So if you go to else, it means your input is valid. So you just go directly to the choice. If choice equal 1, then let me say result is equal weight times pounds. Use the constant you defined. Good. LF choice equal to, then result is equal to weight times grams. Else, no need to check here because it should be a valid one. Else result is equal to weight times ounces. Now, if we go back to the question, we must say in the output the unit. So we need to either record the unit somewhere or do the output multiple times. And the output should be formatted all output to 2 decimals. How to do this? I can come here and say unit is equal to pound, or come here, say unit is equal to grams. This is text string. And here say unit is equal to ounces. This is one way. And finally, I need to print the result. I'm still inside else. You cannot go outside. Inside else means it's a valid thing. I can format now. I can take weight, for example, first, format it to do decimals. Kilograms are equivalent to, and now you need to say result, then convert the result to .f and say unit here inside placeholders. So if you say unit here, it will tell you pounds or grams or ounces, and this output is fine. Otherwise, you can do print multiple times inside each one and print it, print grams, pounds. So let us run this and make sure it works fine. Test validation first. This is 4.5 and my input is 2. 4 kilograms are equivalent to 4 grams. Excellent. Run it again with invalid input first. Negative weight. Invalid input. Tested with another one here. Let's say 6. Invalid input. So use constants. Weight is float. Choice is integer. Do validation before you do any other thing. If you go inside the else, خلاص, no need to make any validations. You must output the unit. So you either repeat this like this here, for example. You can say here pounds, خلاص, okay. But you need to repeat the print everywhere. Or you need to record what was the unit. And in your output, still inside the else, you use unit in the placeholders. That's it for question 1. Question 2. This is a pH scale. pH should be between 0 and 14. Neutral is 7. Less than that is acidic. More than that is base. So the range of valid input is 0 to 14. Now the question says, write a program that keeps reading pH values. So there is a loop. And keeps reading until what? Until the user inputs minus 999. So you only quit if the input is minus 999. You don't quit on any other value. If it's invalid, you ignore it. If it's valid, you process it. You quit only on minus 999. Any out of range value should be ignored. The program only quits if minus 999 is entered. At the end, you need to tell us how many valid values entered, how many acidic, how many neutral, and how many base. Let's see sample run. See here, 8, 11, 7. Now this is invalid. You just ignore it. Here say ignored. 1 is valid. -6 is invalid. 7, 9, and now there is a sentinel. -999. So you only quit on this value. You tell me the total, how many acidic, how many neutral, and how many base. So clearly you need some counters inside your code. Do not output the result here. يعني when the user inputs 8, do not tell me anything. Just at the end, tell me what happens. So just keep counters, no output. So first we need 3 counters. Let's say here, acidic, 0, or I prefer to say acid count is equal to 0. In neutral, count is equal to 0, and base count is equal to 0. Now, total also, you can say total is equal to 0, but there is an easier way to do it. This is a sentinel-based loop. There are 2 ways how to do it. One is using while true, and one is using the classic sentinel loop. In all cases, pH value is a float. So pH is equal to float one time before the loop. Input, enter pH value, or -999 to quit. The user will see this message. Now, my condition, while pH is not equal to -999. So this is our condition. If you go inside the loop, it means it's a valid value. So now we need to make sure it's valid. If it's valid, we process it. If pH is greater than or equal 0, and pH is less than or equal to 14, then it's valid. You cannot say less than 15. خلاص, less than or equal to 14. Greater than or equal to. Then it's a valid one. Else, ignore it. Value, invalid, value, ignored. So this is the message the user is going to see. But your program is not going to be terminated. Now, if it's valid, if pH is less than 7, then it's acidic. You just say acid count plus equal 1. That's it. If pH is equal 7, then you say neutral count plus equal 1. And else it's a greater than 7. So else you say base count plus equal 1. Now, in this if, we check if it's valid. If it's valid, we process it by incrementing the counter. Else we say what? Invalid. You will come out of the if else. Here, you are back inside the while loop. Here, you must, at the last step, you must request a new value from the user. So the user inputs another value. The other value will be taken back to line 5. It's checked against this. If it's valid, processed. Invalid, ignored. Take another value. And if you input -999, you will come out of the loop to line 16. In this case, you need to find the total. For example, total is equal acid count plus neutral count plus base count. So now I know the total. So in my message here, I would say you entered total, valid, pH values. And now I would say here, F, for example, acid count, acidic, comma, neutral count, neutrals, and base count, base count, base. So let's run this and make sure it works fine. Take one before the loop, validate it, make sure it's a valid one, otherwise ignore it. Take the next one. This loop quits only if the input is minus 999. Let's run this. Here, I am in line 4. This is before the loop. I'll enter 4. 4 goes inside the loop, and the value is valid. It will be processed. Sorry, let me run it again here. 4, it's processed. One counter is incremented, and now I am stopping at line 15. I'll say 9. It went back to line 5, valid, processed. Another one. I'll enter 99. 99 is not a sentinel. It will go inside the loop, but it's invalid, so it will go to the else here. And now I'll enter 8. I'll enter 1. I'll enter 7, 7, 7. And I'll enter 10. Now I have no more values, so I input minus 999. Remember, I'm waiting at line 15. If you input minus 999, it's taken back to line 5. And here the continuation condition becomes false. So you go to the line after the loop, calculate the total and output. Let us see what happens. You entered 8 valid values, 2 acidic, 3 neutrals, and 3 base. That's fine. This is one way of solving this problem. The other way is using a while true loop. Question 2.1. I'll take the same thing here, but I'll use a while true loop. Not this one here. Control A, Control C, 2.1. I pasted the same code. In this way, no need to take one before the loop. Just make your loop while true. While true means forever. Any while true loop must have a break statement inside it. So now, while true, input the value. First thing, you input the value. So here I am inputting the value. What happens if you input the value? You must check the condition. So you say if pH is equal minus 999, break. Break means what? This is a sentinel value. Break means come back, go to line 18. You take input only one time in the loop if it's a while true. And the very first statement after the input, you check if it's a sentinel value. The remaining thing is the same. You check if it's valid, increment, or print, and you go back to the loop while true. This loop goes forever. Any while true must have at least one break statement inside it. So if I run this, I am immediately inside the loop at line 5. I'll enter 8. 8 is valid, processed, and you come back to the top of the loop. Still, while true, this loop will never be false unless you break out of it. So I'm entering 10, 7, 7, 7, and now minus 999. Remember, I am at line 5. I'm now entering minus 999. So in this case, the loop condition becomes false. Why? Because this statement will be true, break is executed, and I go directly to line 18. Look at the output now when I press enter. You entered 5 valid values, 0 acidic, 3 neutrals, and 2 base. So this type of loops can be done in many different ways. One of them is the classic sentinel loop. One input before the loop, process it. Last line in the loop is take the next input. or use a while true loop, but you must have a break statement. Validation must be right after the step where you take the input. Next question. Next question is a nested loop question. Sports team tracker. Write a Python program that tracks the scores of multiple teams. So we have multiple teams over several games. So multiple teams and several games. Clearly, this is a nested loop case. The program should ask the user for number of teams must be positive and validated using a loop. You need to use a while loop to validate that the number of teams is valid. No other validations required in this question. Look at the run. You enter how many teams here? First time I'm entering invalid one. It tells you this is invalid. Now I'm entering a valid one. I am validating using a loop. So if you keep entering wrong values, you will never go to the next step. Now they ask me, enter the number of teams. I have 3 teams here, valid. So once you enter a valid input, you're going to go to here, team 1. Look at the output I want from you. Team 1. Then enter team name. How many games? 2. So for each team, we have name and number of games. How many scores or how many goals scored? 12 and 15. You go 2 times because he played 2 games. For the next team, we go 3 times because he played 3 games. After you finish, we need to find the average. The average is total and divide the total by the number of games. Then the third team, 3 games, you find the average. Finally, you must output the name of the team with the highest average. Again, the name of the team with the highest average. So first question, how many teams must be validated using a loop? Then you ask the team name and how many games played. Then you loop dynamically depending on the number of games. And look at the output, enter game 1, 2. Here, for example, 1, 2, 3. So let us see this. We will go here. Okay, question 3 by mistake. I think I entered it. Okay, let me just rename this one. Question, rename, question 1, I'll call it. And I'll make this question 3. Q3. Okay. So now here, first, team count. Do not use short variable names. Team count, integer, input, how many teams, straightforward. Now, you need to validate it using a loop. While team count is less than 0, you will go inside the loop. And you will tell the user an error message. Okay, like invalid, for example, negative count, how many teams. So the user remains inside this loop forever unless he inputs a non-negative value. Even let us make it less than or equal to 0. Even 0 will not be accepted. If you reach line 4, it means we are receiving or we have received a valid team count from the user. So what we're gonna do now, we need to make a loop, outer loop for all the teams. So my loop will be, for example, here, look, for team in range, team count. So I'll go from 0 to team count. You know, in loops, sometimes you cannot print enter team 0. So you start from 1 sometimes, which is fine. You can say, this is very common in while loop, you start in for loop, you start from 1 to team count plus 1. Now for each team, I need you first. I'll print I'll print here F team number. I'll put this team here, which is 1 first time. So team 1, this is a line. So name, I want the name now. Input, I can say enter team, team, which is number. Team 1, I can put a dash here, for example, or number, name. So the output will be enter team 1 name. For the second time, enter team 2 name. And now games. I prefer game count even. Integer input. How many games played? In the question, we are not asking for validation. If you need to validate it, you know how to. So now I know that the name of the team. I know how many games he played or they played. Now I need to find the score of each game. And clearly this is a loop because they might have played 10 games, 5, 3, 7. So you can make another loop for game in range. Again, 1 to game count plus 1. And now you need to ask him about score, which is integer in this example, input. And let me put some validation, some format, enter score for game. Okay, game here, let us say game outside number, game number 1, for example. This is the output. And the user inputs the score. But I need the total for each team. Some students make mistakes here, so they say total is equal 0 here, outside all loops. No, this total is for each team. If it's a total for each team, you must reset it to 0 before you start the team. So the right place where you initialize this value to 0 is here. So you finish team 1. When you come back to team 2, the value is 0 again. Otherwise, it will be accumulated. So now I can say here, enter score for team 1, total plus equal score. That's it. Don't do anything else in the loop. Common mistake, students try to find average here, which is wrong. You cannot calculate average inside the loop. Average is calculated outside the loop after you know the total and the count. So here I'd say average is equal total divided by game count. After you come out of the loop, print. Let me just print a message here. Okay. Name, played, game count, games, average score is equal to AVG. That's it. We are not done. We still need to find other things. So let me just now try to run this part of the code. Run. How many teams? -6. Invalid. Type I have 3 teams. You see team 1 here from this line, line 5. Enter team 1 name. I'll say FCB. How many games played? 2. Enter score. Okay, now the total is 0. I'll go twice here because they played 2 games. I'll enter 4 and 7. They tell me FC played 2 games. Average is 5.5. And they go back to the top of the loop. Team 2. Enter team 2 name. Okay? So let us say Arsenal. How many games played? 3 games. 2, 3, 4. So Arsenal played 3 games. Finally, I'll say, for example, here, okay, Real. and they played 3 games, 2, 3, 2. So Real played 3 games, average is this much. So this is the main part of the code. You validate number of teams, then you loop in 2 loops, 1 loop for each team and another loop, inner loop, for the number of games of the team. Ask about the name, set the total to 0, calculate the average. Next time you come, the total starts with 0. Get the total, calculate the average. Now the question says, at the end, you need to tell me who is the team name with the highest average. So this is not about one team. This is about all the teams. So we need to keep count. We need to keep count of the highest average team. We must keep count of the team name, because this is what is needed, and the average, both. Let us see how we're going to do this. Before all loops, once you validate the number, I can say max name is equal to empty. There is no max team so far. I'll say max average is equal to 0. It's okay here to put 0 in this example, because it's a score. It cannot be a negative score. Now, where to do the comparison and make sure the team name is fine? After you calculate the average, not before. Here in line 15, you know the name of the team and you know the average of the team. So if AVG is greater than max AVG, then max name is equal to name, which is the team name, and max AVG is equal to AVG. So this way here, once I calculate the average, let us say the average of the first team is 3. If this is the case, the name will be the name of the first team and the average will be the average of the first team. It's not enough to put the average, because you must keep the name. Otherwise, you don't know which name. طيب, how to print this result? This result should only be printed once. If it's printed once, so it means it's outside all loops here at line 19. So I would say here printf max name, sorry, I need a placeholder. Max name here is the team with the highest average. And here I say max AVG. Let's run this. Enter how many teams? 3. Team name FCB. 2 games, 5 and 6. Okay. Team 2, Arsenal. He played 3 games, 3, 2, 1. This is the average of Arsenal. The average of Arsenal is not more than FCB. So what we think that is still here max name and max average of the first team. The third team, let us say Sevilla. Okay, they played 2 games, 9 and 8, 17, very high average. So Sevilla is the team with the highest average, 8.5. So this is a nested loop with validation. Initialize maximum here. Names and these things should always be set to empty string. You can say max average. No need to float infinity in this example, because you are not expecting any negative value. First loop for teams. So you loop depending on team count. Inner loop for number of games. Make sure you initialize totals. Calculate average outside the loop. Once you get the average, compare it. If it's larger than or greater than, then you change both values, the value and the name. And that's it.